Beaches.
Part 2 of everything that happened in December. And do you know our episode before last? It triggered some people. All right, well, I'm not even sure where to start, honestly.
Which one
So,
of y'all be snitching? That's what I want to know.
yeah, snitches get stitches.
Yep.
Don't you know that? No, just kidding. This is a public podcast. The page is public, whatever. It doesn't matter. We knew it was going to happen eventually. We were actually honestly surprised it hadn't happened before this. But I guess because I decided to share Lauren's experience that she shared with me about the dress shopping, it apparently triggered her mother. Allegedly. In my opinion, she got triggered.
Yeah.
So we thought we would just talk about that a little bit. Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I thought that it probably would have happened earlier, to be honest with you.
Yes. Okay. So on the way, I think it was after we got home from my birthday weekend.
It was after I left the broker Christmas party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a phone call from her husband,
Right.
Lauren's stepdad, and it was they are hearing that we have discussed this situation with the dress shopping on the podcast, and they weren't happy about it. Not happy, saying that either one, it didn't happen, or that
Didn't happen that way. It wasn't
happen
exactly
that
what
way.
happened. Yada yada yada.
whatever, and even going as far as to say that, that's not how you handle it. It irritated me. It irritated me that you got a phone call. It irritated me that it was handled and said allegedly, even though you're the one that heard it and has been told it, that's not how you handle, situations. Or I'm going to continue to share my experiences. And if Lauren has an experience that triggers me, irritates me, takes my rage to the level that it took me, then by God, I'm going to share it on the podcast. I'm not going to stop. So, that is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't completely surprised that I got the phone call. I think from what I have gathered over the years, I think a pretty good guy. I mean, I think he tries to take care of his family and everything else. And so if I were in his shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. Anytime that something like that happens, there's kind of always three sides to every story. It's this side, that side, and then the truth or whatever, and that kind of thing. And so, but basically the conversation was, listen, I mean, I don't know exactly what was said. I know what Lauren shared with us, and based on my experience over the last how many ever years, Lauren's mom and I divorced, I think, when she was 2. So for the last 18 years, my experience would suggest that probably was said, or at least close enough to it, or whatever. But my intent is not to throw anybody under the bus. My intent is not to throw her mom under the bus. I don't care that much about it, but my intent is if something happens to Lauren or something said to Lauren, whether or not it's from her mom or her aunt or her friend or Annie or me, or it doesn't matter where it's come from. If it's something that's affected our lives, I feel like we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it openly. And
and that's not my intent either. It was never my intent for that. And I went back and listened to the podcast because, I'm a very feelings person, and I never want to do something that is, harmful, hurtful, whatever to other people, even people that I care nothing about. So I went back and listened to it, and I was like, no, I didn't say anything out of line. I didn't say anything that was wrong, and I'm saying things that are speaking from my experience and what Lauren has actually said to me. Now, whether that is what actually happened, the way it actually went down, it's very possible that maybe Lauren took something a particular way that wasn't meant to be taken that way. Can't really say that for sure. But I'm just going based on the way that Lauren explained it to me, and the way that she explained it to me, I have the same reaction now if she were to say it again.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, sharing that was as much about, you know, I think that if anybody else is out there having that experience with someone, that they need to really step back and you know, determine, is that a good relationship for them.
Yeah.
I didn't share it just because it's Lauren, or to say that Lauren, you know, should or shouldn't do this. It was really there. I've seen it. I've seen other mothers, you know, come into the store and, you know, have these same conversations, and it's quite frankly very sad to me. And that's really why I wanted, you know, to share that. Plus, it's part of my life. Like this is Life's Little Arguments. This is part of my life. I'm going to share the part of my life. But, you know, something else that came out of that conversation is that talking about, well, if you're going to, you know, share everything about your life, are you going to, you know, share about the experience of this boy that she's dating, and, you know, you guys haven't met him, and blah, blah, blah. And so it kind of made me think, okay, well, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the situation, because I don't know that we really have talked about that situation.
And I feel like I've just kind of, well, okay. So let me say this. So I said to him, I said, look, because I really and truly feel like some of the stuff that's said between Lauren and her mom, he probably doesn't know about, or he doesn't get the same version of it or whatever. I said, look, out of respect for you, next time Lauren brings something to me, I'm going to let you know about it. So I've blocked her mom. I've not had any conversation with her. So next time something like that happens, I'll make sure that you're aware of it and we kind of assess it, or whatever the case may be. So I don't think that that's completely out of line. But here's the other thing too, is like, we're on episode 25, I think, 26, whatever it is. And we've literally spent about this much time talking about it. But my guess is that whoever it is that said something to Lauren's mom probably try to make it, blow it up like all we do is sit around and talk about this, or they were saying this or that. No, I mean, you're talking that much out of, you know, this many hours of podcast. And so I think it's probably been blown up a little bit out of proportion. But
well, and I've been real honest too with Lauren that, you know, if in Jackson, like if I have said something that you guys don't want me to say, or you don't want me to talk about, you just have to tell me. You have to tell me. I will take it out. I will delete the episode. I will, you know, whatever, and make it right. Because, you know, at the end of the day, this is my family, and I don't want to do anything or talk about things that they don't want me talking about. And, you know, that's not been the case. And Lauren has listened to the episodes, and so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. So with regards to a boyfriend, like this is somewhat. I mean, not somewhat. I mean, this is still kind of learning curve for us.
I think we need to tie in and talk about like when you have adult children that live with you still. I mean, it is a different situation, and not everybody has made it to that stage in life. We have already. Yeah. We've already been through it once, and we are now going through it a second time. So, and a lot of times, you know, with the first, you kind of learn. It's the learning curve that you figure things out, and then for the second, you kind of have a better idea of how to handle things. And, you know, when I think about it in that perspective, I know that you and I have had the opportunity to go through it once, and now we're going through it a second time, whereas her other set of parents she's the first to go through that with them. So they've not had the opportunity to have an adult child that they're trying to parent. And it is different. It's different than having a kid that's in high school. It's different than having a middle schooler, and so on and so forth. And you have to realize that. And I think that's where some parents can't let that go.
Yeah.
You cannot, like, once that kid is going off to college, like, if you've sent them off to college, like, you have to let some of that control go. You cannot control everything in their life. And I think it just comes down mostly to they have to be allowed to make mistakes. If you continue to try to control them and their life to the point of not allowing them to make any mistakes, they're going to have a really hard time as an adult.
Yeah. So not only are they going to have a hard time as an adult, but it's natural for them to fight against that. And I think that's kind of what happens. So So Lauren's been seeing this guy. They, when she went to college, she went off to college. They kind of started seeing each other, whatever. Um, I'm not saying that he's the best person in the world. I'm not saying he's the worst. But
I think have we provided any context
no,
around this?
no,
Okay, so the way that Lauren ended up coming in so we had gone for a period of time, 9 months, without speaking to Lauren, and
yeah.
we may or may
We
not
talked about that.
Okay, we
Yeah.
talked about that, and so the way that it came for her coming back into our life to speak with us, live with us, is a fallout between her and her mother, and a lot of it had to do with this boy that Lauren is dating. And I use the term dating very loosely, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it had to do with all of that. And we know nothing about this guy other than what Lauren's mother has shared with us that happened during that time frame, or what Lauren, has told us over the last.
Which at this point would have been 2 years ago.
It's
Yeah,
it's
almost
a little
2
over
years.
a year and a half, yeah. And so
So he
and when all that first happened and went down, like we took her mother's, word for what happened, and what she is saying happened, we don't agree with. Like, we agree that
some things that were said was not.
It's not
Yeah,
okay. It's
not
not
okay.
okay.
Some
It's
things
not
were
right.
done.
And,
Yeah.
and we have been very clear with Lauren on that. We agree with her mother on, these particular things. It's just the fact of the way that her mother goes about trying to punish Lauren or have control over Lauren, or teach Lauren these lessons, or get Lauren to do the things that she wants her to do in regards to this guy, versus the way we go about the way of this. It's completely, totally opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And, it's obviously not agreed upon either way. We don't agree with what she does, and she doesn't agree with what we do. But it's been left up to us at this particular point to kind of handle it, since Lauren's living here.
Yeah.
Lauren's living here, and it's like our house, our rules, but our rules are, to me, appropriate for Lauren's age. Lauren's 20. She's 20 and a half. She'll be 21 in 5 months. And she's been off to college, living on a campus for an entire year. And for any of you who have kids that have gone away to college, understand what that's like when the kid comes back to live with you, and that adjustment you have to make, because they're making decisions for themselves. They're going out to bars. They're drinking. If you don't think they are, you're crazy. Open your eyes. They are. They're having a good time, as they should. This is the time in the life where they should be doing those type of things. They're experimenting, whatever. As long as they're being safe, like, that's what they should be doing and learning in life. And so you do have to make adjustments when they come back home. You can't continue to treat them like they're 13 years old. They're not. And I think that's where a lot of this probably stems from and comes from. Of that it's a hard transition. It is.
And it's scary too. I mean, when you think about, social media and all this other stuff, like you can meet people in different ways that you've never met people before. I mean, it's just different. And so when she came back, there was some stuff that was said, some things that were done, whatever, between that side of the family, which again we don't agree with. We certainly don't condone it, whatever. Lauren, I think because of the way it was being handled over there, probably started lying about some stuff, not being truthful about some stuff, started doing some things she shouldn't have been doing, so forth and so on. And then she ended up moving in with us, and we basically just sat her down and said, hey, look, like, you just need to be honest with us. We're not going to be following you around. We're not going to set a location on you. We're not going to be texting you all the time. We're not going to be calling you all the time. Like, we just need you to be honest with us, and whatever that ends up being, that's what we'll handle it, and that's how we'll kind of go about it. And so that so far, and I'm not saying that.
And in regards to this guy, we did say that
he's not welcome over here.
He's not welcome over here.
Because of the lack of respect and stuff,
right.
So forth that's happened so far.
And we're not open to meeting him. He's not allowed here. We're not open to meeting him. And quite honestly, we don't think he is a good person for you to be with. We don't think he is a good boyfriend, if that's what you want to call it. I don't think this is the person that you are going to end up with in life. However, I can't stop you
You
from
have to make
seeing
that
him.
decision.
Like
Yeah.
yes, you live in my house and it's my house and my rules, but you're 20 and a half. You as long as you go to school, you make good grades, you go to work, you pay for the things that you need to pay for, you are respectful to us, you follow our rules as far as letting us know where you are or when you're going to be home or these different things. You're an adult. Like, I'm not going to tell you can't go see this guy because
Yeah.
you're just going to go do it anyway.
And prior to her moving back in here, it was like anytime she had a chance to go see this dude, she was going to see him and was lying about it and everything else. And so it's sometimes not lying about it, just going and it turned into an issue this time and that time and this day. So anyhow, as time has progressed, and I feel like that our communication has continued to improve and she's become more open and honest and we've been more open and honest with it, it's like they're seeing each other less and less and less. I mean, Lauren's in school. She's doing great there. She's working. She's doing great there. Anytime there's a shift available, she's picking it up. I mean, she's staying very, very busy. And don't take away from the girl's nap time. She gonna take a damn nap. I can promise you that. But so they still see each other, but it's like maybe once a week.
And I'm sure they communicate all the time.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're
yeah.
Snapchatting all the freaking time because she's always on that. But again, I can't stop that. I just can't. She's an adult. She has to make these decisions. And I keep coming back to having these conversations with her of, making good decisions, making sure that you're being protected if you're having sex, making sure, these different things that, I want you to be aware of, and you're an adult and I want you to make good decisions, and just know that, I'm not going to stop you from doing things, but your decisions have consequences. And if it is it's a consequence that you have to live with, whether it's a great consequence or it's not, I guess, a great, your consequence is usually never great, right? Whether, you have to live with it. So just know that. And I'm trying to just teach her, that part of it, that it is a consequence no matter what happens. And, you have to live with that. And as long as you understand that, then I'm never going to, you're an adult, like you are, there's really not a whole lot that you could do unless you were just downright, unless you were stealing from us somehow, unless you were treating our dogs horribly,
And I don't see any of that. I
No.
don't see, and in fact, we're saying, look, you just tell us what time you're coming home, and she's texting us at 10 o'clock. I'm on the way home. Okay, cool. What, do I have a curfew? I don't know. Name a time. Midnight? Sure. Okay, whatever. We get a text. I'm coming home at 10:30. You know what I mean? It's like the more we've tried to be open and honest about it, the more or the less of an issue anything has been. You know what I mean?
And I'm not saying that's what would work for all kids.
Absolutely. And we're only talking about our experience. It's the only thing we're saying here.
But it was the same thing with Jackson. It was, he was living at home. He was going to school. He had his own bills that he had to pay and was responsible for. And so, as long as you're not doing, things that are harmful to yourself, whatever, or, doing illegal things that, are going to wind you up in prison or something like that, then you've got to make these decisions and you've got to live your life. And, I will be there for you, when anything happens, good or bad. I'm going to be there both ways to help guide you through it. But at the end of the day, you've got to make your own decisions.
Yeah. And I think we've struggled a little bit with it too, because we're like, at what point do we say, okay, this stuff happened a year and a half ago, right? The stuff that was said and disrespect and all that stuff. And again, we don't agree with it. We don't condone it. And maybe we don't think that this is the right guy for her. But at what point do we say, okay, bring the guy over to the house. Let's meet him. Let's see if he's, different. Maybe, I think from what I can tell, he was probably raised different than her mom or I. And I suspected that probably played into that a little bit to begin with. Maybe there's insecurities or whatever. You're meeting people you've not met before. You're going to places, it's different lifestyles, whatever it is. And so maybe that kind of influenced it a little bit more, or maybe the friction between Lauren and her mom in some way, maybe he thought he was trying to stand up for Lauren. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I can't help but to wonder, is it going to be any different if you just kind of hit reset and say, let's try this a different way? And
Yeah, I mean, because it's not fair. Like, people are allowed to change. People are allowed to make mistakes, and what's the word I'm looking for?
remorseful?
Yeah,
I mean,
something. For those mistakes and willing to do better. Like, that's allowed. I think we have
and
to
that happens all the time.
It does, but
Yeah.
I think in society we have to be very careful, because I feel like we don't allow people to do that. And
Yeah.
so that is allowed. So we do have to be aware, and at some point say, okay, if she's going to continue to see this person, then we do need to probably give this a chance. Because can we just talk about Chopper? Like, my mom did not wait.
Chopper, that's all you got to say.
Right.
I mean,
can
enough
you
said.
imagine, like, and had my mom like pushed that issue, I probably would have pushed
You would have
back
done.
as
You would have
well.
done what
I would
80% of teenagers
yes,
would do.
which is do it anyway. Like, if you tell me don't
And
do
then
it,
lie
I'm
about
gonna
it.
push harder and
Yeah.
do it. And it will push me towards that person. And so that's what we are trying to avoid, is we do not want to push towards that person. But at the end of the day, when she gets done with school and she's ready to move into her own apartment or house or whatever happens, and she's saying, I'm going to get married, like, we can't tell her she can't marry somebody. And if she decides to marry somebody that we don't agree with, like, that's not us. We are not going to cut her out of our life.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. So we'll figure it out. Now, will that be some hard lessons that she might have to learn? Possibly. We hope that it doesn't come to that. But if so, we have to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. Like, I remember getting married to Dennis, like, as soon as my dad was fixing to walk me down the aisle, and, I think most dads probably should say this, but he was like, are you sure? Like, you're sure this is what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, kind of here now. I think so. I guess we're just going to do it. And he's like, okay. And,
Because he knew, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure they knew.
But hell, I mean, Lauren's mom and I are not together. There's plenty of. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, the divorce rate is 50% in America.
Right,
I mean,
right.
so
I mean, you don't obviously want that, for your children, and you want to keep them from making any mistakes that you possibly can, but it's just not possible, and I don't think it's good for them to try to keep them.
yeah.
From
So we're really struggling with this right now, and I feel like that here recently Annie and I have brought it up, like, do we kind of take that next step? Because I remember last Christmas, his birthday is also in December, and Lauren was gung ho, get this for his birthday, get this for Christmas, and we were like, well, hold on, Lauren, did he make you a priority when your birthday was in May?
Right.
And the answer to that was no.
No.
But she was making him a priority in December, and I'm not saying like gifts, if you buy this, I got to buy you this. I'm not saying that, but making someone a priority, you can do that with gifts, without gifts, whatever. But this year, we were like, are y'all still together? I mean, because she's not
We've
brought it
asked
up at
several
all.
times, and I
Yeah.
hate, every time we ask, I feel like she ends up going and seeing him afterwards. I'm like, I need to just
Right,
keep talking about this.
right.
But
And so, and I'm like, are you guys friends? Like, are y'all friends with benefits? Like, if I don't want to know about the benefits, but if you are, then you have to be safe.
I think Lauren she's very caring. She's so very caring.
Yeah.
And she has a big heart. And I think there is a little bit, there's something called a trauma bond. And I can't help but think, in my opinion, there's a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
She feels she realizes and recognizes that she has a better living situation than he does, whether at our house or at her mom's house. Both situations are much better than what he grew up in. And he doesn't have a good relationship with like mother or father. And, I think there's just some of that going on that she feels for him, and being a friend to him is something that she feels very strongly about doing. And I think there's a lot of that going on.
And you can't, I mean, you can't fault her for that.
You can't. I mean, you hope that
But hell, I mean, you look at the movie Footloose. That's literally what the movie Footloose was about.
Yeah.
I mean, there are countless movies. They wouldn't make all these movies about it if that wasn't a real thing.
And
I think trauma bonding might be a little different than
It
what you're
might.
explaining,
That's true.
but
That's true.
but there's this idea that someone on the other side of the tracks. I mean, hell, it's damn. What's the show on Netflix? Outer Banks. I mean, it's literally
Yeah.
It's literally the same exact thing.
Well, I think the biggest concern for me is that I don't feel like I feel like she is kind of committed to this person. I don't feel like this person is committed to her. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like she's the only person that he is talking to. And I think that's probably been shown throughout the last year and a half, a couple times. But, it's not something that Lauren seems to be worried about, concerned about, or whatever. And again, I have to just let her make those decisions and figure that out for herself. But
maybe there's not as much to them. Maybe they are more friends. We don't know.
yeah, we just don't know because we haven't seen those kids, so we don't really know.
So if you have any experience in this, please share. I send me a message, and Andy, just to kind of give your experience and what you went through and what worked and what didn't work. But I think we're at a point now where we're just going to have to just say, hey, look, bring him over we'll do dinner and play cards or something one night, something kind of light, I suppose.
No, we just talked about it today. We said we weren't doing that yet.
Okay. Well, we're still thinking about it apparently. So,
anyway, I thought it was kind of important to bring that up because that was brought up on your phone call of, how much are we even worried about all this because we haven't met this kid? Well, no, and this is our situation. This is why we haven't met
right,
this kid.
and that's a valid question, but the answer is because I feel like the less we have tried to control it, the less of an issue it's been.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we're sitting here thinking, are y'all still hanging out? Like, are you going to say, and this Christmas was a lot different than last year's Christmas because last year, Annie and I, it took everything we had to bite our tongues to say, Lauren, like, this is a one-way street here.
Why are
You're not,
you
you're not saying that this is a one-way street, but this is what's happening, and so, but bless her heart. I mean, I really do think that. Again, I don't think that's what trauma bonding is, but the whole, I have a big heart. I'm caring for someone that's maybe come up in a different situation. I think that there is a lot of that.
It came into her life at a situation where she was
going at it with her mom, maybe. Possibly. And he was kind of part of it. That's true. That's true.
And he had the same similar situation with his family. So I think that's what I meant.
I got you. I follow
by
you.
that. So anyway, it was some drama, but it was...
So what else is next? Let's talk about something a little bit lighter.
Anyway, I just wanted to kind of address that since we did talk about it in the last podcast. I kind of wanted to tell you what came out of that. But yeah, so Lauren, we had so much fun over the whole December basically and the whole winter wonderland. I was so excited it got used so many times. And Lauren even had a Christmas party where she had a couple of her friends that she went to high school with. They all went to dinner and they came back to the house and they sat out there, played games, did a Christmas gift exchange or whatever. And so they even enjoyed the igloo, and that has been... It's just literally been the best Christmas ever. And again, we talked about in last episode of the fact that we didn't even really do gifts, and that was fine. And I think going forward next year, I'm even want to push more into that. I feel like I would love... I'm all about wanting to manifest a destination Christmas next year for our family. And I think that would be fantastic. But
New York City.
I also wanted to talk a little bit about the reindeer games because first of all, it was amazing. It was so fun. I'm so glad that we did that. But I had seen on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or whatever, a couple of posts from people that were saying, it's just sad when the Christmas magic is gone, like when your kids no longer believe in Santa, or they get to a certain age. You remember the age where they get to where there's no longer, you're not buying toys any longer, you're buying
and it's stuff they've already talked about.
Yeah, it's there's no surprises. Yeah. And when the surprise is gone, it's like, God,
you go shopping with me and I'll wrap it.
Yeah. It sucks. Christmas morning sucks at that point. And I'm thinking, when it hit that point for us, I really tried to do some things to still make it fun. So I remember one year I did, we put money in balloons. I blew up balloons, stuck money in balloons. and then made it a game that morning that they had to race to pop as many balloons as they could, and whatever balloon they popped, the money they got out of that balloon is what they got to keep for their Christmas. Now, I'm all about what's fair is fair. So I made sure and had some money in the back pocket that I I still made it even between them. I didn't tell them I was going to do that, but at the end of the day, I knew I was going to do that. But just to kind of make it fun and have still some Christmas mystery to it, did that. And then I think we've also done some stuff of like, scavenger hunt type things, of having to go and like find the particular gifts or whatever to make it fun. So I think there's a point in time from kind of like that 11, 12 year age group until like, I don't know, I would say 18, 17, 18. Once you kind of hit that 17, 18 mark, I feel like you can move into what we did with the kids and Christmas Eve and our family, which was the reindeer games. And I think you actually could do something like that more into Christmas too. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking about having that more of a reindeer games. We do it with our family. Oh God. With them Christmas Eve, but then do something similar on Christmas Day or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
With our kids.
Yeah.
And take like the gifts out of it and let's just do something more like that. Because the gift giving, like it's not, again, we're all just like telling each other what we want, and it's just like swapping money. There's no surprise anymore. So to me that's pointless. Like why are we doing this? Unless you're going to truly give me something that I would not go out myself and buy for myself. Like it's a luxury thing that I'm like, oh man, I really want this, but I'm never going to spend that on myself, or I'm never going to allow myself to do that for myself. Unless you're giving me something like that, then, if it's something else, that I'm just going to go buy it for myself anyway.
Yeah, I think we need to manifest the destination Christmas next year. I think it's a good idea.
I want to so badly.
So we talked, I think, before, but anyways, the way the reindeer games came up is what we've done in the last couple of years is between us, our family, and then my sister and her family, nephews and all that stuff, we would basically just draw a name. Let's say you put a $30 limit on it and you exchange gifts. Well, what ended up happening last year was, like, my nephew would say, okay, here are 3 things that I want. Okay, I'm going to go buy one of these 3 things. And Annie would say, here's 3 things. And so it was basically just a repeat of what you do with your family at this point, which we found that wasn't really fun. Anyways, so this year, my sister and brother-in-law, they said, hey, let's do this reindeer games thing. We've done this over with my brother-in-law's family. And essentially, instead of spending money on gifts, you just put in $30 each. They go buy candy, they go buy gift cards, they go buy little prizes, they give away money. So I think we ended up playing a total of like 6 games. And when I say games, I mean that like high energy, fun. We're all involved. Everybody's watching. Everyone's taking a turn. We ended up with LCR at the end, which is left, center, right.
Which we're a loud crowd anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we had the windows open. Whatever. Yeah, we had the windows open, and I'm like, the cops are going to get called. A neighbor's going to come over some because when we get into it, we legit 100% get into it. And Annie the next morning was like, I can't even tell y'all how much like this Christmas Eve meant, like just how good it was. And because we just all had such a good time and we didn't exchange one single gift. Now my dad and his wife, they come over for dinner and we did steaks here at the house and all that stuff. And we exchanged gifts with them. But then they left. I mean, they're older. And so they left. And then that's when kind of the party started here. And I think
it was probably 2 hours. Like it probably took us a good 2 at least.
Yeah. Normally, like if y'all knew my sister, like normally it's like eat, clean up, see you later, deuces. Like I think after like game 4, we're like, are y'all still here? Like we're worn out. Yeah.
Literally, you said that.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, you wanted us to be here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. So I think that they stayed till, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock, which felt like 2 in the morning. I mean, it was because I was cooking. I mean, it was a long day, but anyhow, we had such a great time.
The games were so fun. They were so simple, really, when it comes down to it. But it was so creative and so fun because it wasn't just
what you won was creative.
Right. It wasn't just you won a game so you pick a gift. Yeah. It's like you
roll a car off the end of the thing, and if it goes in this cup, you pick number 1. Well, they had a Christmas tree and you punch through stuff. Well, some of them were nothing, and some of them were coal, and some of them were money and whatnot. And of course, anytime anyone landed on a nothing or a coal, like everyone's just erupting.
Yeah. And then there were a couple where you got to like steal a gift.
Yeah.
And like I ended up at one game I had $8 and then ended up Colby stole $3 of my dollars.
I stole Lauren's Chick-fil-A gift card, which she
we're
lost
gonna
it.
hear
No,
about
the
that
Target.
forever.
She was like, "You don't even shop at Target. That's my gift." You know.
And
So
speaking of Lauren got hype. Lauren was in rare. I don't know that she was in rare form. I think she was in a form that most have not seen her before.
Yeah.
And they were tripping.
I have only seen her like this maybe 2 or 3 times in her entire life, and she's getting to the point where I feel like we're starting to see this side more and more of her, and she has alluded to a couple times here recently. I like it because I can be myself. I can act a fool or whatever. Well, anyways, we're here at the house. We knew she was not going anywhere. She was not driving. I think I had 2 or 3 drinks that night. Annie probably had a wine or 2. Brian was. So anyhow, she said, "Can I have a drink? Or can I taste your drink or something?" Annie was like, "Well, there's seltzers out in the fridge. Just go grab one." She goes and grabs one, and throughout the whole night, she probably drank half of one.
Keep in mind, she's 20 and a half, y'all. She's fixing to be 21 in like
and
4
she's
months.
been off to college.
She's been off college, whatever. This is
So
not her first drink.
Judge all you want, whatever. So anyhow, because I know how much she drank because I had to move the freaking thing a dozen times because she kept putting it right next to her foot, and I'm moving it. And I'm like, she's not. So anyhow, we learned that it does not take much at all, if anything. So I don't know if she was like buzzed or if she was just hyper or what, but what was so damn funny though was
First of all, she got more athletic. The more she drank, she definitely got.
I mean, she was winning.
She was playing like the beer pong one that was like throw it in the cup or whatever. She rang like 2 or 3 of them. And I'm like, I didn't get one single one.
And if you know Lauren, like athleticism has not been her thing.
Not her thing.
But she was having a great time with it. We were all having a great time. By the time we got to LCR, I mean, we're literally erupting. And like the way we did the LCR was there's a $50 bill and then in the middle, and then everyone I think got 3 or 4 lottery tickets. That was your money, right, that you play with, and of course you hand left, right, whatever. Well, when you hit a star, that means you got to put your whatever it was in the middle.
Lottery ticket in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. And so then every time someone hit a star,
we
would all say boo, and it was just like as soon as someone did it, like all boo, we were just going ape shit. So we were having a grand time with it, everything else. So anyhow, the next day, Lauren, I can't remember if she told me this or sent me a text or whatever.
No, she was in the car. We took the dogs to look at Christmas lights.
She had told me earlier in the day she wasn't feeling well. She had a headache, whatever. And then so it was.
We were riding around taking the dogs, looking at Christmas lights.
She's like, "Well, I guess I know what it now feels like to have a hangover."
I was like, what?
She was like, "Yeah, I woke up this morning, I had a headache, I didn't feel good." And we were like,
because I knew how much she had to drink, because I'm the one that cleaned up that night, and I poured the rest of the seltzer out, and it was at least half of that seltzer. Like, it was not much. But I was like, oh my gosh.
And I'm like, look,
she is insistent. She's like, I don't ever have a headache, and I never feel like I'm going to throw up. And it was absolutely, I had a hangover, and I was like, okay, girl, you had a hangover then.
So anyhow, it
was hilarious. I had to text it. I had to text it to Jackson, and I had to text it to Angie and Brian. I was like, oh, Lauren said she had her first hangover, y'all.
So anyhow, that part of it is really funny, and I know she wasn't like sneaking it because she was in there with us the whole time. So it's not like she could have gone and gotten anything
she had
else,
a drink. She wanted to taste my Moscato, and so I let her, and she was like, ugh, that tastes like cough syrup. She's like, don't you have any white wine? And I'm like, no, like this is blush, like this is a sweat. Like I don't drink a dry wine. I don't know what you're looking for.
But the fact that she is 20 and a half and hasn't really drank a whole lot at all. I mean, she acts like she's going to, but then she doesn't. So anyways, I'm fine with that.
She's very responsible.
Yeah.
She has that gene of you. Like she's extremely responsible. Now she lazy. She gonna take a nap.
Yeah.
Now, girl gonna take a nap. But other than that, she's very responsible in the way of like working, schoolwork, paying her bills, stuff like that. So she's just not one. She's not gonna be.
But it always makes me feel good when she makes there's something about this comment when she says I can just be myself. Like that means a lot to me because that is kind of what we want to try to instill here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
because that's how we are. You know, I mean we act a fool and we're goofy and
Anyway,
everything else.
it was so much fun. It was the most fun I feel like we've had on a Christmas Eve in a very long time, and so I was extremely appreciative and thankful that Brian and Angie made that happen, and so that's definitely what we'll be doing from here on out. But I wanted to share it with people because these people talking about Christmas like losing the magic. I'm like, well, here's some other things that you could do. Like you literally could kind of do that with your kids. And whatever you're going to give them anyway, like somehow work that into what the prizes are.
And I promise you, and the kids at 12 years old, they would absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, our kids are 20. We had Ashley's 26, Jackson's 24, Colby's 20.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so on and so forth. So I mean, it's we don't have young kids doing this, but even young kids will absolutely love it. Yeah. So it was a ton of fun, and I really appreciate it. I just literally cannot say enough about how much I have enjoyed this December, this holiday season.
Yeah.
It has been so fantastic.
Well, even this December, I mean, we went out with my friends.
So it's still going on. So we didn't even talk about, we went to see Twisted, the Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Twisted the Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Twisted Christmas Carol. Anyway, a play that we've never gone and done before.
A local play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad Felker, a fellow
at the Warner
realtor,
Robins Little Theater,
was in it, and so he invited everybody, and we just said, well, let's go do this. Let's support him and go do it. We'd never done that before, so we went to that. I really enjoyed it.
I loved it.
I really enjoyed it.
In fact, I loved it so much, I said, I'm trying out for the next play, which...
Can't do it.
Already retracted it. We can't do it. Plus, they've already cast it. But they did say that they're going to do a rendition of Ghost. And Jamie, who's the director, was like, "I think you and Brad could do that scene, the clay scene." I'm doing the reach around. No one's reaching around me. So anyhow, we're not going to do that. But anyhow, I don't know that I could do it. It's such a time commitment. Respect to the people who did it. They did a phenomenal job. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was cool to do something different. We went with a couple of friends of ours.
So I'm a fan. I will definitely be going back to the others. That's something that I would definitely like to do.
And it's cool too to know that it's local people doing it. I mean, it's not what you're going to get in Atlanta or New York City, but it's people that you know that are doing it, and I think that kind of makes it extra special too. So
we did our annual Christmas cookie decorating contest. We have been doing this.
It just keeps getting harder and harder.
Basically, the entire time we've been married. I was thinking about that. I think that's probably almost the one thing in my life that I think I probably have done every single year for as long as I can remember. I have made Christmas cookies for as long. I did them with my mom, and it has continued, and I have never missed a year doing it. And I think that's the one thing. I think if you asked at the end of my life, once I'm gone, if you ask Jackson, what is one thing that you will miss the most about your mom, it will probably be, I will miss that tradition of Christmas cookies.
And I always tell you afterwards how much I appreciate you doing that. And I don't think you really understand just how much I appreciate it, because, when I was growing up, my mom and my aunt, they did the same exact thing, and they would spend hours upon hours upon hours doing divinity and cookies, and they gave away gifts, and that's what their coworkers got, and that's what our teachers got, and everything else, and people used to rave over it all the time. So when you and I got married, it was just transition into that, you know what I mean? And I guess you did it before, but that's what I was accustomed to seeing and being a part of every Christmas, and so the fact that you do it now, and I know that you don't, I mean, it's a lot. It's a whole, and it takes time and it's effort, and it's, but as much as you kind of complain leading up to it, I know that when you're done with it, I think you appreciate it, because the kids, I think, have grown to really, really appreciate it. Like Lauren, I think, even brought it up this year, like, when are we doing the cookies? When we, because it's a tradition for her now too, just like the movies or whatever. And it is a little bit challenging, because you got one that gets off of work at 2, you got another one that gets off work at 4,
It was really late this year doing it, and it's not as difficult. Like I make my great grandmother's cookie recipe. So those are my Christmas cookies that I eat and I love.
Those are not the
like.
ones we decorate.
These are not the ones that we actually decorate. The ones that we do for the contest, we've gotten to the point where I just buy a kit from somebody who has
royal
icing that we can really make pretty. And my God, these kids have gotten so freaking good
it's
at
ridiculous.
decorating. They have surpassed me. It has hit the point the last couple of years that I have officially been surpassed, and I almost
what's
think
so
I'm gonna
bad?
hang up my Christmas.
What's so bad is
decorating
ours have gotten a
different.
lot better too.
They have,
but they just continue to
they continue just to get better. And
you know,
better.
you just go look at something on Pinterest now or Etsy or whatever, and it's like you can find anything out there, and the level of creativity just keeps going up. And of course, we say this because if you don't know, we put them on Facebook every year. We're like, hey, 1 through what, vote for it and all this other stuff. And
that's part of the fun too.
Yeah,
They love going back and forth to see who's
they
going to
think
win,
that I'm
who's
going
not
to try to
gonna
influence
win.
the vote
He
because I'm
always tries to
talent.
cheat.
Now that I'm a TikTok superstar.
He always tries to cheat on the vote, and Kent never wins. And really, for most years, I've always been the winner.
Yeah.
But
If you've always had the best cookie.
I think last year, did Ashley win last year? Did I win
can't
last
remember.
year? I can't remember. But Jackson won this year, so he was very excited. So I told him I'm hanging up my, my Christmas cookie cutters.
You're not going to hang it up. You're not going to hang it up. We have a great time with
them.
it. We absolutely love the tradition,
Yeah,
and I
the
really,
cookies
I
are
really,
freaking
really
phenomenal. And I always take for whatever I get like a writer's block, a creativity block when we first start.
Oh my God, you took forever this year.
I never have mine ready to go at the beginning. I never have my idea, and so I kind of just sit and watch and see what everybody's doing. And then I'm like, I was looking for I think a solid hour before I finally got started. And then once I got started, it kind of kicked in. The juices kicked in, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. And my little thick mermaid, she was freaking cute.
And it was creative.
Oh my God, she was cute.
Super creative.
Because I took a Santa hat and just flipped it and made it a mermaid. I thought she was adorable. And then I gave Ashley the idea of doing the puppy, but it freaking turned out amazing. She did a great job. And of course...
But I think like when you talk about just this December and everything else, I think that the kids have gotten to the point where we're no longer making them do that. They want to do it. You know what I mean? We're no longer like trying to find stuff for them to decorate. They're going and finding it on their own. They're, kind of doing the competitive. Like I feel like that, like having adult kids is just different. I think I made a post about it. Like having kids growing up is cool and it's special. And I'm talking about this time of year, but when you have adult kids, it's fulfilling in a much, much different way.
It is. It's hard too. Like as a mother, I've friends and my cousins, we were all talking about being moms to adult children and having to work around now. It's no longer people working around our schedules for Christmas. We are now having to work around our kids' schedules for Christmas and when everybody's going to be able to get together and, how does it all work? Because, you have other parents on the other side of that, relationship that, are going to be doing Christmas too. And so everybody's adjusting and it can be very frustrating because you can, have planned everything out and worked around everybody's schedule. And then it turns out that somebody's like, oh yeah, I forgot, my parents said we're going to do this instead. And it's like, as a mom, you're like, what the fuck? Like I just moved everything around to make this work for you. Now, granted, this did not happen with us, but in talking to other people, they experienced that. And that's hard. That part is the hard part with having adult kids. But everything else, if you can actually get them here, fantastic. It's the trick of aligning everything to make it all work out.
So I had a buddy of mine come into town, lives in Chicago. Him and his wife came into town. I've not seen him in probably 12 or 13 years. This is like a guy that I hung out with every weekend in junior high and high school and whatnot. And
I have never met.
Yeah, have never met, but she's heard about him. I'm on a group thread, text thread. And then some other guys I've not seen in a long time. We're all together. So really just a great night of just hanging out and fellowship and having a good time and telling stories and cutting up, and then ended up over here at one of the houses and kind of had a little house party. No, I'm not going to say what you.
You're not going to say it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to. But anyhow, there's like an inside joke. But
I'm pretty sure Stacy and I saw an alien go across the sky.
Well, that is true too.
But then come to find out, some other people they said they posted some videos and they said that it was supposed to be a meteor shower. I don't know if that was, I personally, it was either Santa and he was late. Was it late or early? I guess he was early. or it was an alien. 100%. It was
But
like, phew,
But
and then gone.
I want to tell you, I appreciate you because, our other friend group, whatever, they were going to be going to
that was hard.
this bar crawl
That was hard.
in Macon. Several of these bars were doing like Halloween. I mean, not
I would
Halloween,
have loved to have gone
holiday themed
It
stuff.
was an ugly sweater bar crawl.
Yeah. So Annie would have had a great time. I would have had a great time, but it was so much easier for us to stay here locally in town with who we were with and whatnot. They had their kids here, come from Chicago and everything else. So look, let's just hang out here.
Hard for me because you guys know I'm the introvert. So meeting new people, not easy for me to do. And so I'm meeting.
So I appreciate you doing
like
that.
4 new people.
And I thought you were awesome too. Like from the minute you got there, you were just awesome. Stacy, I think, was very, very easy to. She's an extrovert.
Yes, very.
And so
easy
she's
to talk
very,
to,
very easy to talk to. But anyhow, so that meant a lot to me that you kind of prioritized that because I mean that just doesn't happen. I mean, like I said, I hadn't
had
seen.
A good time.
So we had a really good time with that. It was good to see everybody.
A lot of your ex-girlfriends, I think, probably commented on the picture of all y'all talking about like drooling because all you guys have just aged so well, look so good.
I mean, I feel like we've done all right, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you have.
Yeah. So
you're not gonna.
The comment that you're talking about is not an ex-girlfriend, if that's what you mean.
I'm just talking about all of them.
No. I mean, I feel like we've all aged well. I mean, damn.
I don't know.
I mean, you take care of yourself. You dress nice.
We do talk about that, and this is probably rude because I doubt anybody that I've gone to high school with listens to this podcast, but.
Not everybody takes care of themselves the same way.
Not everybody does. Yeah. We've talked about that. We're like, man, I feel like I've just aged better than some of these people that I went to school with.
And that's a choice. That's
Is that rude to say?
That's a choice that they've made. And I'm not saying I'm the best looking guy or anything like that.
They look better. Maybe it's just us. Is it just us being?
I think they know. I think they know.
You think they know?
No, I mean I think some people choose to. Whether or not it's stay in shape, whether or not it's dress a certain way, whether or not it's, I don't know, wear your hairstyle. Like you could insert anything in there. But I think that they probably know. Like, right, I know that I got a dad bod. You know what I mean? But the work that you have to put into having something other than, I don't know that it's worth it to me. But I also feel like
I've had these headphones on my ears so long they're making my ears.
Oh man, I had to take.
I don't think you have a dad bod at all.
Yeah, I definitely have a dad bod.
You do not have a dad bod.
Yeah. I'll post a picture now. No, I'm just teasing.
Of course you will.
I'm just teasing.
Of course you will.
I'm just teasing. But we had a great time. So I appreciate you going out with us. I appreciate you having a good time with it because you're right. I mean, there are times where, like, you could have just sat over in a corner.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Alcohol helps.
Alcohol does help.
I'm pretty introverted until.
Annie was like, she yelled down today, was our bill at Walk-On's $155? And I'm like, yeah, that's what it took. That's
what it took to get my extroverted to come out.
First of all, we were there for a while, and we ate too. I mean, that was food, that was appetizers, that was drinks, we had a couple shots. I mean, so it was a little bit of everything. But
friendships are expensive.
Yeah. So
cutting that out in 2025.
Stop it.
Speaking of,
but anyways, December was an awesome month.
It was.
It really was.
And so next episode, I think what I wanted to talk about is what did you just do? I
just wiped my.
You should not do that anymore. I wanted to talk a little bit about because it's going to be 2025, y'all.
Yeah.
25.
Do you have a word?
Okay, I do, and I'm not going to tell it just yet.
Okay. Somebody posted on Facebook today. I think Leanne did. It's like, hey, what's your one word?
I posted what's your word.
Okay, well, she did too.
Okay, well, she stole it from me.
Well, anyway, I'm going to go put what my word is on yours because I didn't see yours.
Hold on, let me tell you.
You don't want to know what my word is?
Not yet. We're going to do it on the next episode. That's a teaser. If talent should know this. That's called a teaser. But it's blowing my mind. Did you just say your word?
I didn't say it.
Shut up. It's going to be 25 years since the year 2000. Is that not freaking
since
insane?
Y2K.
Since Y2K. So I'm going to share with you guys what I was doing on Y2K.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about that. I also want to talk a little bit about...
We found an article on
what
some
we
things that are
leaving-
turning 25, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about a few of those too.
What are we leaving behind in 2024? What do we want to take into 2025? Whether or not we get into the whole New Year's resolutions BS. I guess that probably tells you whether or not I get into it. Anyway, I thought that would be fun to kind of talk about. So we are going to just put a pin in it right now, and then we will next week talk about all of that good stuff. 25 years. 2025 coming at us quick.
Quick light.
Babe, I love you.
I love you.
And
we love you.
We love you guys.
Go
Thank
like,
you so
follow,
much
share.
for listening. That's right. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.